Hi there, my name is Paul Harris and you're here because you have a copy of a little lighting design program called, appropriately enough, Lighting, and you want to know how to use it. That's good. There are many aspects to lighting design: understanding color, mood, technology, light placement, but the one that consumes the most time is paperwork. The lighting designer spends as much time on paperwork as they do in the theater. The time in the theater is the culmination of all the work that has been done in the background. This program tries to take one aspect of that, creating the lighting plot and all the associated documentation that goes with it, and making it faster, easier, and more accurate. This is a program that, as far as I know, has never been for sale and is circulated hand to hand. I don't own the program, and because there are no manuals or instructions with it, if you do have it, I'm here to make it easier for you to use it. For two-dimensional designs, it's surprisingly powerful. I've used it for basic shows in professional theater, for more complex shows in community theater, and it's done everything required. There are many more sophisticated programs that will do much more, but the ones for professionals cost thousands of dollars and have a large number of features that are no benefit to designers working in small black box theaters or community theaters. This program fills the missing middle. It lets you draw all of the things that you would have drawn by hand and allows you to get a result that's quite close to a full professional design program. Here are some of the basic things you need to know. First of all, it only works on a PC running Windows. It may run on a Mac simulator. I don't know. There's no guarantees. If you are a Mac user like me and you still want to use it, you should be able to pick up a cheap PC somewhere because the demands of the program are not high. And there are no updates, there are no new versions. What you have is what you get. All that being said, I think you will be surprised at all the things this program can do for your designs. And if you do want to move up to a more sophisticated program, you'll have a good idea of how computer-assisted lighting design works. So, let's get started. The first thing to know is that this program has no icon to click on and open it. It lives in a file folder. I've always called this folder Lighting LX. That isn't its official name, it just differentiates it from my folder called Lighting, where I store other files. So let's click on the folder and see what's inside. You see there are 6 files in the folder. They all need to stay in that folder so the program can find them. Don't drag them out to the desktop or store them anywhere else. By the way, the help file with the question mark does nothing. If there ever was a help site, it was shut down long ago. To open the program, you're going to double-click on the file with the little picture of the light beside it called Lighting. Click on the OK button in the box that comes up, and this is what you'll see. You probably want to click and make it a full screen. You'll notice that the hints box comes up automatically. You can get rid of that by pulling down the View menu and clicking off Hints. That can be handy though, because it's the only help information that's built into the program. You can drag it out of the way if you want. So, for most of this lesson, we're going to do a tour and look at the drop-down menus in the toolbar and show you what each of them does. Let's start with the File menu in the upper left. It's pretty much what you'd expect. You can create a new project, open an existing one. This is the place where you'd go to open a file. Clicking on the file on your computer screen won't do it because Windows doesn't recognize the file type. The files for this program save with a unique extension, LDF. If you want to open one of your designs, go to here, find Open, find the file, and click on the file itself to open it up. Save or Save As is very easy. It's the same as any other program. I suggest you go to your desktop and create a new folder called Lighting Designs and save all your files there. The next one is Plan Properties. This button shows up in several places.
It's usually the first one you'll use, as it allows you to put in all the basic information you'll need to start your design. The size of the theater, whether you're working in feet or meters, the name of the show and who designed it, what version of the design it is, the date, which should fill in automatically. As usual, the help button does nothing. In the next tutorial, where we actually create a design, this will be our first stop. Print is next, the same as any other print button. I suggest you get a PDF print option you can call up for sharing these documents. Under that is Export to File. It will turn your document into a Windows Meta file, or WMF. This is a file format invented by Microsoft in the 1990s that never really caught on. If you want to share documents with this program, I suggest you print to PDF, but you could use WMF. Programs like Windows Paint will open them, but they're more of a curiosity at this point. The last one is Exit, which takes you out of the program. Now let's move over to the Edit menu. This is where you add information or move fixtures in your design. You have to have something like a lighting fixture to work on or it stays gray. So let's create a generic lantern. Go to the lower toolbar, click on the little picture of a light. Now click anywhere on the screen. You've created a basic fixture. We'll learn more about this later. If you want to work on something about this fixture, you want to highlight it by clicking on it. You'll see the difference when it's highlighted, especially that little green dot that you use to rotate it. You can now use the Edit menu to copy it. Here it's called Clone, or delete it. If you draw something like a stage and it's on top of your light, you can use the move functions to bring the light forward so you can see it again. If you have lights that overlap, you can bring a light to the top or send it to the bottom easily. The last button in this drop-down is Properties. This is not the same as Plan Properties on the File menu. It's one of the things that makes this program so powerful. You can enter everything you need to know about that fixture and then access it later in a number of useful ways. Let's click on the light and see what comes up. What kind of fixture is it? Where is it plugged in? Where is it supposed to be pointed? And much, much more. We're going to spend a lot of time on this box in a later lesson. The next drop-down menu is Mode. I'm not sure why it's named that, but this is the menu that gives you most of the tools you need to draw things on the lighting plot. Normal is just what it says. I don't think it was ever expanded into anything but normal, so leave it alone. Add Lantern. When you're in Add Lantern mode, you create a fixture simply by clicking on the plan. It always starts with a generic light, and you can choose what kind of light you're using later. You have to hang your lights somewhere, so the next tab allows you to create lighting bars. Once again, more on this later. But once you create them, you can name them, spin them, move them, or change the size. You simply drag your light on top of the bar to hang it there. You'll probably want to show where the stage is, how big it is, and where things like sets and drapes are, so you have to draw them. This part of the lighting design is sometimes called a ground plot. Here are the tabs that make this super easy. The Add Shape button does just what it says. It lets you draw a shape. This program has decided to use the number of points as the determining factor. 4 points is a square, 3 points is a triangle, and so on. The shape will come up filled in gray, but you can get rid of that by left-clicking on the shape, going into the Properties box and changing it to a polygon. You can also name it. You can give it a name like Stage or Riser. Just delete the text. You'll also want to draw lines sometimes. They can represent curtains, cables, whatever. Once again, the lines are determined by the number of points. 2 points is a straight line, 3 is a triangle. They can be spun, moved, resized, or labeled, and we'll get into that when we draw our basic plot later. When you have created a shape and you highlight it, you can click on Add Points or Edit Points, and you will see that there are points that appear at the corners. If you have to draw some strange shapes, you can edit these points, add them, move them around. If you have a square, you can use Edit Points to change its shape. We can add a point by using the Add Points button and left-clicking on an existing point. We can then move the new point around if we want. You can delete points. You can turn a square into a triangle by taking one point out. The last tab is Origin Setting Mode. That allows you to put a kind of red line on the diagram as a reference point. You won't use this. The next drop-down menu is View. Zoom is important, and you can see it has a drop-down of its own to let you set the view of your plan. Handy if you need to go back and look at the big picture or zoom in on a detail. The Grid tab will allow you to see or not see the lines that show the size of the space, but I suggest you leave that on. The Hints tab will let you get rid of the hints box if it annoys you. The Gels tab is handy. If you're still using colored gels on your lights, it will show you the color in the plan beside each light. And that is a very handy thing to have when you're hanging them. The next tab, the Reports tab, is one of the really great things about this program. A large part of lighting design is paperwork. If you enter the right information on the design, this program will do all the important paperwork for you. We won't look at what all the reports are right now, but in a later lesson, when we have some information in the lighting plot, they will pretty much explain themselves, and you won't want to miss that part. We're almost done. We're at the Tools tab. This program is a little bit future-friendly in that it was designed to add new items to the gels, the lights, the types of lights, the things that pop up as shortcuts. It's very easy to add a gel or a fixture, and it will stay in the memory of your version of the program. That will be one of the last things we'll look at in the course, because a lot of people will never do it. And finally, the Help menu. It doesn't do anything. There are no links to help and no tutorials that still exist. Now that we've been through the drop-downs, the toolbar is very easy. It's just a duplication of the most useful things we've already looked at in those menus. We'll just quickly run across the rows. On the top row, create a new plan, open a file, save a file, edit the overall plan, edit the information about an item you've selected, print the plan, copy an item, delete an item, send items to the front or back of the drawing, and zoom. On the bottom row, normal mode, the only mode you get, create fixtures or add lantern, create a pipe or add a bar to hang lights on, create a shape and a drop-down for how many points it has, create a line and a drop-down for how many points it has. You can create a little text box for any special labels on the plan. Next are controls for changing what your shape looks like. The first for dragging points around, and the second for adding new points, and the third for deleting points. And the last one, the origin setting for drawing those red lines that you'll never use. That's the tour of all the ways you can control this program. There are things it doesn't do. It doesn't do 3D. It doesn't do side views. It's strictly a two-dimensional top view document. But for most small and community theaters, that's all you'll need. In terms of the shapes of the lights that you have available, it does have its limits. If you're adding a new light, you're going to have to create the shape of that light yourself and add it to the library. So there we go. In the next tutorial, we're going to create a very simple lighting design. We'll go through every part slowly in detail and in order. In part 3, we'll be looking at the paperwork parts of the program and how it will save you from most of the drudgery involved in that job. And finally, for those who are really interested, we'll look at adding new fixtures and new gels to the library so that they can pop up in your menus for easy later use. I hope you enjoyed this. See you next time.